Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. Me and Liam are here. We've just watched the latest on the casting of Frank Stone at the Summer Game Fest. Gotta say, it's going to be a quick video because I don't think there's a hell of a lot that's new, if anything, to chew on. But mate, you do have a couple of pointers that you want to bring up, right?
Yeah, I do. So, I mean, it was just interesting at the start to see that, some of the familiar faces that we're used to seeing, like Steve Goss in particular, like he mentioned some stuff. It was good to see the Behaviour people as well. We had some comments from Dave Richard. So, yeah, just really interesting. One thing that we always commented on, Jack, is that there was a concern whether this game would marry up because, you've got one pedigree which is to do with story writing, and then the other one which is a gameplay game, and how that could merge together, and it could maybe be a marriage made in heaven, maybe it wouldn't be, maybe it would be a horrible messy clash. They're kind of really affirming that it was a natural fit. They've been coming up with a story for some time, and then it blended really well, and then Behaviour were able to get this really good thing out of it, which leads to like the world of Dead by Daylight, the entity. So yeah, no, really interesting to see how that is going to go together. They also mentioned at one point, mate, that we're getting different subgenres of horror. Now I know Supermassive Games kind of have done this in the past. They typically kind of go with that whole 80s slasher vibe. But yeah, like one thing that they mentioned is that we kind of gathered it from the gameplay trailer, but the 1963, the prologue or the flashback timeline, the plot is heavily going to be about investigating a missing child. I don't know if you have any points on that, or if that is a plot line that is quite dark, but one that you're really intrigued to, sink your teeth into.
Yeah, I think my current theory is perhaps that's going to be the prologue of the game. We think about Supermassive Games in the past, a lot of their prologues are set in the past. So if not all of them. So I think going into this, if they're doing different timelines, it makes sense. We're starting off with the missing child. We're going to perhaps have an encounter with Frank Stone. And thereby some of the things that we've learned in the teasers will naturally start to fit together, and then we'll bounce into the main game. So yeah, I think that's what I'm running with so far, mate.
And random sub note as well, maybe the missing child is Frank Stone. We'll have to look at that as well. The only other really things to mention, mate, is that we did get some additional footage. So the most notable one for me is that guy saying, "I'm coming with you." So it really lent into like the choices, whether that is canon or not. And then there's that one as well of like, we always see like the gameplay kind of footage, like the outro poster in the last trailer. We had the 14s there. It didn't include the punk-looking girl, and you also have the girl in the red jacket. It almost does look like they are present as well, though, because the punk girl comes into the room with the others. So it might be that 4 of the characters are playable. And like in the initial trailers as well, we saw 4 people with flashlights going up to the mill. So it might be that there is an extended cast, but like they split off and they go on different journeys. So it might be that like we're with 2 different groups, perhaps, like the punk girl and the red jacket girl is one group, and then the other 4 going into like the murder mill are the other ones. So I don't know, mate, would that intrigue you to know that we might be getting 2 sort of different, not timelines, but 2 sort of separate groups in the same kind of area in the same project?
It would, because this is something that I mentioned in the gameplay trailer, is that I would love it if there was like 2 separate groups that we did follow. And I think that's something that I wish that this, this whole event thing revealed, not only a release date, but just more details about the game. Because if it is just the 4 players, don't get me wrong, I'm not against it, but it then raises questions for me as to like, this is like less characters than a DPA game, which then in turn tells me, is this game going to be as long as a DPA game? So we're looking at like a 5 or 6 hour experience. Whereas I've almost built this up as something that would be similar to Until Dawn, The Quarry, where you're sort of looking at that 8 to 10 hour mark. So that is something that's left to be desired. We'll have to see, like, in the future what they come out with. But yeah, certainly, if you could follow, I've even pitched it as well, it'd be great if you could play as the cop, but actually someone in a video said that could well be a prologue character. So it's very much a wait and see, mate.
Last thing to mention is, I don't know if you noticed it from the little bit of extra footage we had, but one thing that caught my eye was this murder mill poster. Now, we mentioned it in the last trailer, but it's left me more confused, more questions than I have answers, to be honest, because the first shot shows the poster and one of the filmmakers says, "Have you ever heard of the Murder Mill?" And now I was subscribed to the theory that the Murder Mill was their film, and that would be kind of like in a later timeline, we would see this film that someone eventually survives, has plot armor, and ends up making. But it almost looks like, oh, have you heard of the Murder Mill? Like, in a way where maybe that's a past film that's been made, and maybe they're doing a tribute, maybe they're doing like a part 2 to their favorite film, because later on someone has a shirt with Murder Mill written on it. Now, it could be that they're still a fan of that old film, it could be that they're repping merch for their current project, so most likely the former though. So it might be that Murder Mill is a separate project and they're kind of doing a tribute piece. So, you know, a lot of questions there, we'll have to see. And if you guys have theories in the, you know, please let us know them in the comments.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got from it, that it was like a tribute to an older film. And I don't know, like, it's one of them things where perhaps because Cedar Hills is maybe like a really small town, that the events of the murders are like very iconic, and they're very sort of like, you know, the ripple effect of them in that area is so strong that naturally there's going to be like a commercialized way to try and bring tourists to the town or something like that. You do get that sometimes with sort of like hauntings and ghost stories, so maybe that's the sort of the edge that they're going for in this particular game, and the kids have been pulled into it. They want to go and make their own film there and try and get in on a little bit of that success. I don't know.
No, very well, mate. Last point, still no release date. Are you infuriated by that?
I am disappointed, yeah, because I mean we have just sat through nearly 2 hours of that thing hoping for release date. We do know Until Dawn is fall 2024. It's looking more likely that this is going to be a similar thing as well. I don't know when there's any other gaming events now other than Gamescom maybe later this year in order for them to reveal a release date. So it's, again, we're just going to have to wait and see. Another thing for me that I would say is that actually there was quite a few more like screenshots and like little clips in this where they were sort of showing other locations. So I'm glad in that, because if we are looking at DPA, we do tend to be in one location. But I think with this, if we've got the mill and then we've got the shop and we've got like, there's that shot of that road at one point, I think, do you know what I mean? A nice vary of locations as well is always a good thing.
No, for sure. Now, I'm kind of with you on that one. It would be nice to get some clarity on a release date, but hey, I guess we're going to keep, you know, plugging away, looking out for content. So guys, watch this space, because we are going to be extensively covering and playing Frank Stone, so be sure to check that out. But also, yeah, no, to kind of mirror Jack's point, fuck you, Summer Games Fest, for putting this on as the very last game they featured. We love a main event slot for these games, but it would have been nice if that came out at 8 rather than 10. But still, nonetheless, though, you know, we've got more meat on the bones there. So yeah, no, I'm excited to play this game. Guys, if you have any thoughts or theories from that recent footage that we've just received, let us know in the comments. If you've got any points for what we've mentioned, let us know as well. But until then, guys, we will see you in the next one. Take care for now.
See you later.
Oh, this interaction failed when I hit something.